In a quiet American town, an aging war veteran walked into a local diner wearing his faded uniform, hoping for nothing more than a hot cup of coffee and a moment of peace. Instead, he was mocked, humiliated, and turned away by a young employee who saw weakness instead of sacrifice. The veteran left without saying a word. But overnight, something stirred. By morning, the parking lot was full dozens of Navy SEALs, Marines, and fellow soldiers stood in silent formation. What they did next sent shockwaves across the nation and delivered a message no one would ever forget. It was 6:47 a.m. when Sergeant Major William Iron Bill McConnell wheeled himself up the ramp of Patriot's Table Diner, a place he hadn't visited in months, maybe a year. Not since his knees gave out for good and the VA meds started messing with his memory. But this morning was different. This morning was the anniversary of the Tet Offensive, the day he lost 41 of his brothers, and all he wanted was to sit in silence, sip a black coffee, and honor the ghosts who marched with him through fire and mud and decades of being forgotten. The winter air bit through his uniform, the same dress greens he wore the day he retired, now faded at the shoulders and missing a button. But he wore them anyway because they were his skin, his history sewn into thread. And as the door creaked open and the warmth of the diner kissed his face, he took a deep breath, like a man crossing into sacred ground. But no one greeted him, no heads turned, no thank you for your service. Not even from the kid behind the counter, early 20s. Spotless apron, glued to his phone until he glanced up and let out a laugh under his breath, calling to someone in the back, "Hey, cosplay grandpa wants a table." And the words struck like shrapnel, sharp, sudden, stupid. But Bill said nothing. He'd endured worse in Da Nang and darker in Saigon. So he rolled forward slowly, carefully, like crossing a minefield of indifference, only to be cut off by that same kid who planted himself in front of the register, arms crossed, fake smile plastered across his face, saying, "Sorry, sir. We don't do handouts, maybe try the soup kitchen down the block." And that's when the silence inside Bill finally snapped, not with words, not with anger, but with a stare that once made young privates shake in their boots, and now barely made a dent in this boy's smugness. Bill turned without a word, backed out into the morning frost, wheeled himself to the edge of the parking lot, and sat facing the rising sun, hands resting on his lap, chest full of medals that meant everything in war and nothing in peace. While behind him the door slammed and laughter echoed faintly, a sound more violent than any explosion he'd ever heard. Across town, at precisely 7:22 a.m., Petty Officer First Class Raymond Doc Simmons, a retired Navy medic, and Bill's closest friend, received a text that read, "Refused coffee. Patriot's Table. B." No punctuation, no elaboration. But Simmons knew what it meant. He knew the anniversary, knew the diner, and more than anything, knew the look on Bill's face when dignity was denied. Simmons called no one. He didn't need to. He opened an encrypted channel, Brother Senarms, typed 3 words, "Bill, diner, now," and hit send. Within minutes, phones buzzed in basements, garages, gun ranges, rehab centers, and quiet homes where the warrior spirit still breathed beneath aging bones and restless scars. Retired SEALs, Rangers, Marines, and PJs snapped awake, their muscle memory from missions past igniting in silence. Across states, engines turned over, boots hit pavement, and a different kind of operation began, one that required no briefing, no weapons, just presence. Meanwhile, at Patriot's table, Tyler the counter kid bragged to a co-worker that he put some freeloader in his place, completely unaware that he had just lit a match near a powder keg of loyalty and rage that would reach national attention by sundown. At 9:03 a.m., the first black SUV pulled into the lot. A man stepped out clean-shaven, tall, with a limp in his left leg and a single silver star pinned to his coat collar, and, without a word, he nodded at Bill, patted his shoulder, and went inside, ordering 2 coffees and tipping $100 without blinking. At 9:17 a.m., a battered Humvee rolled in from Ohio, 2 former SEALs hopping out, one blind in his right eye, the other walking with a cane he refused to use properly. Then came the motorcycles, low, roaring, dozens of them ridden by leather-clad vets from every branch, their patches worn, their silence loud. By 10 a.m., the lot was full. Dozens of combat veterans stood or sat near Bill, some in wheelchairs, some with prosthetic limbs, some with service dogs, all of them unified by something no civilian could see but everyone could feel: the code. That ancient, sacred code: never leave a brother behind. Tyler began to sweat. Customers whispered. The manager, a woman in her 30s who inherited the place from her father but had never served a day in her life, stormed out to confront the crowd, demanding to know what was going on. "A reunion," said one man, barely above a whisper. "You weren't invited." Inside the diner, coffee cups rattled. An eerie quiet fell. At 11:12 a.m., a news van arrived. Then another. Cameras pointed. Microphones extended. But none of the veterans spoke. They didn't need to. The sight alone told the story: a lone disabled veteran in a wheelchair, surrounded by dozens of warriors, all united in protest, not with signs or slogans, but with silent defiance. On social media, the story exploded. A bystander's live stream hit 2.3 million views by noon. The hashtag coffee for Bill trended worldwide. Veterans organizations released statements. Patriots Table's Yelp page crashed. Sponsors pulled out. By 2 p.m., CORPORATE headquarters issued a formal apology and announced the diner was under review. But Bill hadn't moved. Not once. Not even when the mayor arrived, offering condolences and a gift card. Bill stared through him, and the mayor, sensing something bigger than politics, simply nodded and walked away. At 4:06 p.m., Tyler was quietly escorted out the back by police. Not arrested, just removed for his safety. That's when the real twist happened. An old man in civilian clothes approached Bill, tears in his eyes, hand trembling as he extended a coffee cup and whispered, "I was at Hugh City, 68. I saw you pull Corporal Jenkins from that burning jeep. You don't remember me, but I never forgot you. I named my son after you." Bill blinked. His hands shook. The dam broke. For the first time in hours, he spoke. I remember Jenkins. He died on the chopper. The man nodded, voice cracking. But you gave him a chance. You gave us all one. And with that, the wall between pain and peace thinned. By dusk, the entire parking lot was covered in folded American flags, notes of thanks, coins on the pavement, and candles flickering in the wind. At 8:17 p.m., the last vehicle left a black truck with the words U.S. Navy SEALs Retired spray-painted on the bumper, and still, Bill sat, alone now, but not empty. Behind him, Patriots Table's sign had been covered with a tarp that someone spray-painted hastily. McConnell, Mess Hall, coffee always free for heroes. Inside, a new manager had already started hiring vets. A new policy, every table reserved for anyone who served. No exceptions, no expiration. No apology needed. The country hadn't changed in a day, but one diner had. One kid had learned. One man had been remembered. And for men like Bill, that was enough. Because the war didn't end in 75, it just moved into job applications, waiting rooms, street corners, and diners. And this time, the soldiers were ready, not with guns, but with unity, with presence, with proof that in a world obsessed with noise, silence still roared. And sometimes, all it took to change everything was a single denied cup of coffee.